The most draining person in your life isn't your demanding boss or your difficult client. It's the person who communicates without tact. Why is that? What makes a simple lack of tact so profoundly exhausting and destructive? Let's break it down from the intertwined perspectives of psychology, sociology, and culture. Firstly, the friction of tactlessness is often a collision of cultural worlds. What one person sees as honest and direct, another experiences as blunt and offensive. This isn't just about personality. It's deeply rooted in our cultural programming. In the 1970s, anthropologist Edward T. Hall introduced the game-changing concepts of high-context and low-context cultures. High-context cultures, like those in Japan and China, rely heavily on implicit, nonverbal cues. Meaning is found not just in the words, but in the silence between them, in body language, and in shared understanding. It's a culture of reading the air. Communication is indirect to maintain social harmony. Contrast this with low-context cultures, such as the United States and Germany. Here, communication is expected to be explicit, direct, and unambiguous. Words are taken at face value, and clarity is prized above all. The responsibility is on the speaker to be clear, whereas in high-context cultures, the listener shares the responsibility of understanding the underlying meaning. So, imagine a manager from a low-context culture giving feedback to an employee from a high-context one. The manager might say, "This report has 5 major errors. Fix them by tomorrow." To them, this is efficient and clear. But to the employee, it can feel like a personal attack, a public shaming that disregards their effort and causes them to lose face. The manager wasn't trying to be cruel. They were just operating on a different cultural wavelength. A lack of tact, in this case, isn't malice, it's a cross-cultural short circuit. This is why a statement that lands as a harmless joke in one culture might be a deeply offensive insult in another. It's the cultural context that gives our words their weight. Secondly, beyond culture, a lack of tact systematically dismantles the very foundation of social interaction, the preservation of face. Sociologist Irving Goffman pioneered the idea that in every social interaction, we present a face, which is our public self-image, our sense of dignity. Building on this, Penelope Brown and Stephen Levinson developed the influential politeness theory. They argued that many things we say are inherently face-threatening acts. Asking for a favor threatens the other person's autonomy. Giving criticism threatens their self-esteem. Politeness, then, is the social lubricant we use to minimize these threats. It's the intricate dance of face work, where we protect not only our own dignity, but the dignity of others as well. People who lack tact are essentially crashing through this delicate dance. They ignore the need to save face, for themselves and for others. Think about the classic example of pointing out a flaw in someone's appearance. A tactful person might say nothing, or if necessary, address it with immense privacy and gentleness. A tactless person might blurt out, "You've got something in your teeth," in the middle of a crowded meeting. While the statement is factually true, the delivery is a face-threatening act performed baldly on record, as politeness theorists would say, with no attempt to mitigate the embarrassment. This isn't just about being nice. It's about social survival. When someone consistently demonstrates a lack of tact, they signal that they are not a safe person to interact with. Their presence creates a state of low-grade, constant social threat. This is where we see the psychological concepts of defensive communication and incivility come into play. Incivility in the workplace, which can be as subtle as eye-rolling or consistently interrupting, leads to decreased job satisfaction, increased burnout, and a toxic environment. We put up our guards, we become defensive, and our emotional energy is diverted from collaboration and creativity to simply protecting our own face. The person who lacks tact doesn't just want you to do what they say. They want you to exist in a way that doesn't inconvenience their unfiltered thoughts. Finally, a persistent lack of tact can reveal something deeper about an individual's psychological state and its impact on those around them. When someone repeatedly speaks without considering others' feelings, it can be a form of incivility, a low-intensity deviant behavior with an ambiguous intent to harm that violates norms of respect. Consider the coworker who makes jokes about your personal life that always have a sting of truth, or the relative who gives unsolicited advice that is really just criticism in disguise. This isn't direct feedback meant to help. It often serves a different purpose. It can be a way to assert dominance, to offload their own insecurities, or to maintain a sense of control by keeping others off balance. The communication is no longer about a shared understanding, but about exercising power. These repeated microaggressions are incredibly draining. They create an environment of emotional exhaustion. You find yourself constantly bracing for impact, replaying conversations in your head, and second-guessing yourself. Research shows that workplace incivility directly harms our ability to focus and process information. This emotional and cognitive drain is why tactlessness feels so personally depleting. It's not just about the words themselves, but the constant state of alert they put you in. They expect you to live up to their version of you, not the version you are trying to become. So, the next time you feel utterly drained by someone's words, understand that it's not a personal failing on your part. You are reacting to a complex breakdown in human connection. You may be experiencing a cultural collision, a violation of the fundamental social contract to protect each other's dignity, or the subtle but relentless drain of uncivil communication. Recognizing this doesn't magically solve the problem, but it empowers you. It reframes the issue from, "Why am I so sensitive?" to "What communication dynamics are at play here?" It allows you to set boundaries not out of anger, but out of a deep understanding of what you need to preserve your own emotional and psychological well-being. True communication isn't about blunt honesty or unfiltered expression. It's about building bridges between minds. It's the art of speaking your truth in a way that allows another person to truly hear it. It is the careful, considered, and compassionate act of making a point, without making an enemy. It's the quiet understanding that the space between us is just as important as the words we use to fill it. Have you ever dealt with a tactless communicator? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, follow for more insights into the psychology of our daily lives.